You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast from ascully.com. You can find this podcast on the iTunes Music Store, Google Play, YouTube, Voice Assistants, just say listen to After the Show movie podcast. And you can also find us on ascully.com, where we post written reviews. With that out of the way, here are your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. Hello, Sid Talk. Mm-hmm. Hello, world. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Everybody in the world listens to this? And we have no advertisers. Damn, missed opportunity.
Don't we have at least one person from each location in the world?
Okay. Define location.
Continent.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down to 7. And we count as 1, so we got this one covered.
I was hoping we at least 7 listeners.
Are there only 7 continents still? I don't even know. We got rid of a planet. Have we ever gotten rid of or added a continent?
No.
I should know these things.
No. We've still got 7, I think.
Okay.
Alexa, how many continents are there?
We love to ask her questions.
There are 7 continents.
7.
The most common
We were
model,
correct.
but sometimes the Americas are counted
Because
as
she
one
knows
continent
everything.
too, and sometimes Europe and Asia are combined as Eurasian. Other customers have also asked.
She's given us all kinds of...
Alexa, stop.
She's given us all kinds of different
variations. We don't need all that.
Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 4. There's not a definitive answer. Anyway, Sito, what's your before the after the show discussion?
Do we have one? We didn't have much. Supper.
Do you have anything to... Do you have any? Did we?
Do I have anything to add?
We talked about this movie.
A little bit. That's about it. You were focused on your little project with your lights. I was making a cup of tea. It's like pretty, this is marriage, everyone. You don't always have something stimulating to discuss. It is the way of the world.
Well,
we can pretend like we had something big and important.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We just said nothing to each other. And
well, we might have said stuff, but I don't think either of us was listening, so I wouldn't count that as a discussion.
That's true. All right, so it is Saturday, July the 28th. This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast. This is the 592nd episode. We're going to be looking at the movie Long Shot this week, which is a 2019 movie. You can pick it up on Blu-ray from this upcoming Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. It's not out yet. It's out this week. It's from our friends at Lionsgate. It's rated R for... What does it say it's rated R for? Why is it rated R, Sid Talk?
This one? Well, there's a little bit of something about Mary involved.
It says sexual content, language throughout, and some drug use. That's correct.
Yeah, accurate.
Those are the things that are contained within this movie. It's from our friends at Lionsgate. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie Long Shot.
Romantic comedy-ish with mismatched pair of
nice
people.
And when you always give us a synopsis, I've decided to give you the synopsis of the box also, because whoever writes synopsis for boxes is pretty close to the people who write the 1-star reviews on IMDb, don't you?
But not me. Not close to me.
No. So this the box synopsis is from the celebrated team of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, creators of outrageous comedy hits, including This Is the End and Neighbours, comes Long Shot. Seth Rogen stars as Fred Flasky, a hard-partying journalist who's got it bad for Charlotte Field, Charlize Theron in brackets. His first crush turned...
Oh my God, is this a whole freaking script?
His first crush turned presidential candidate. After Charlotte hires Fred as a speechwriter, he is a fish out of water on her elite team. But sparks fly as he turns her on to a wild new world of raging parties, secret rendezvous, and hilarious rule-breaking.
Damn, that's super boring.
That's like 2/3 of the movie as well, isn't
it? God.
Yeah, so...
I hated that.
So...
Can I have that minute back of my life?
So, movie studios hire Sid Talk here. She'll write you a tiny little synopsis that nobody will understand. And that'll be much better than this.
My style is underselling. So just in case you want to really undersell how fantastic your movie is, you let me watch the whole movie and I will give you literally possibly less than one sentence.
And you
sum it up.
And you know, if you haven't seen, like, in your mind, you've seen the movie, so you know everything about it. But just from your synopsis, sometimes it's hard to gauge what it's like. What?
Okay, it's romantic comedy-ish, and it's a mismatched pair of people. What? I mean, that is it.
It is.
And then you wrap all the other stuff around it, and that can be plugged into loads of movies. It's the same synopsis.
All right, so
we just don't like to admit that we're watching the same stories over and over.
Let's review the movie Long Shot. Let's do it. Da-da. I said I was going to have some. I'm going to make some jingles and insert them into our podcast.
Yeah, I don't like that idea personally.
Do you not find that's sounds really good? I was thinking some real professional style jingles.
I mean, it's your
featuring
podcast.
The voice talents of me and you.
I'm not singing no jingle.
No, you're not singing. It's not singing.
You mean to hum it?
No, it's not humming.
Well, then it's not featuring me.
It's more of a, like, IMDb.
Here's what's for supper.
IMDb movie reviews.
No, it's what it sounds like. It's like 1960s and 70s radio, which I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah,
so.
I was thinking of making it into an old-timey radio show and having, like, scratchy noises in the background.
And then wah, wah, wah,
yeah.
bah, bah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll pass.
All right,
I won't resign over this.
You won't?
I won't give up my position as the other person on your podcast. If you do this, just know I'm in protest.
All right, so we'll review this movie, Long Shot.
Without the jingles.
Sid Talk, you
are not.
I've gone down on record as not being the biggest Seth Rogen fan in the world.
Correct.
In fact, periods of time where you don't like him at all.
Correct.
So, going into a movie, you've seen the cover for this movie today, and you were like, "This is the movie we're going to watch." And you saw the cover. How?
And then I realized what we were watching, and I was like,
And how did you enjoy the movie, or not enjoy the movie?
I enjoyed it a lot. I say this also begrudgingly. I laughed a lot, and okay, now I can say we're starting from here, Seth, if you're listening. And moving forward with our relationship.
Of course he's listening.
It's a fresh start, as they like to say on the British EastEnders soap opera that we watch. Fresh start, fresh start. We're going to start here. It's a good start. We can move forward from here because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed him, her, it. That's all there is.
You enjoyed the movie It?
I did all of it. Yes. And this, it. The story of this, the way they did it, all the scenes, even the ones where you're like, oh, God, that's so uncomfortable, or that's just like, oh, God, it's a little bit low on the, intellectual thing. Not that I'm highly intellectual, but it's mixed in with other things in a nice balance for me. And so I'm on board now. I'm not on the Seth train yet. Sort of like driving on the gravel road next to it, just in case I ever want to jump on.
Interesting.
Country people will know what I'm talking about.
So, this, I had the wrong impression of this movie. I didn't see the trailer for it at all. I saw the cover and what it was about. And I was thinking it was, a raunchy comedy, stoner kind of movie.
You were preconceived.
Which I often...
you had a preconceived notion.
Yeah, exactly. And I often don't like those type of movies. They don't really appeal to me that much. And I had no idea, actually, that... Spoilers. I think we already said it in the synopsis. The synopsis spoiled the whole movie anyway, didn't it? The one
My
on the back
synopsis
of the
did not spoil
the one
anything.
on the back of the box. So there might be some spoilers. Continue at your own risk. So... I wasn't expecting it to be such a romantic comedy. I had no idea that that was the road this was taking. And, it's written... I did feel that it's written in that old-fashioned way where everything is super obvious what's about to happen. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, everything is almost telegraphed before it happens. But I didn't... And it feels kind of old school in the way the script is wrote. But it didn't make me think, oh, this is, like, awful. Like, this is... I think they were trying to go for a certain thing. And the pairing of Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen, I had no idea it would be so cool. It's really, really fun to watch. They, I saw these two promoting this movie, didn't see them, listened to them on the Howard Stern show. And I didn't, all I've seen of Charlize Theron is her in movies. I'd not really seen many interviews with her. And I didn't realize that she was like into comedy stuff, But she is like fully on board. She was like, no, I just wanted to make a comedy. She said, I've seen Seth Rogen's movies and they're so far away from what I am. I thought it would be interesting to go and work with them, and see what, how I could fit into it, which I think she did totally. And it's not, when I said I thought it was going to be a stoner movie, it is kind of a stoner movie, right? It's got...
I disagree, but...
I mean, the guy, Seth Rogen's character is kind of like he is a stoner, right? He walks into the White House.
But it's like saying it's a movie about politics, but it isn't. Or you could also say it's just a love story, but it's not.
Did we mention that it's surrounding politics?
Not yet.
Yeah, the movie...
It wasn't part of my synopsis, but it was yours. It was on the box.
Yeah, the movie's in the politics world, but it's not about politics. And I don't think you need to understand politics or anything like that.
No, it's just about how the politics of anything, and this is literally politics like running for president, or the politics of life and perception people have of you can dick around with who you are and ultimately who you choose to be in your life. So it is about the politics of life.
Yeah. And also the politics of dancing.
Is everyone laughing?
Yes.
Everyone but me?
There is some dancing in this movie, actually. There's a dance scene, there's a club scene. So, just you explain to the listeners what the overall...
I already gave my synopsis.
No, not the synopsis. Where the comedy comes from here.
What do you mean?
Like, how this movie... Where's most of the comedy come from?
In the jokes?
No, not the jokes, no.
I mean,
the script, not at a base level, the jokes. I mean, most of the comedy, I'll explain it, is...
Well, I actually explained it when I said two mismatched people. So that is where your comedy is going to come from. Is the clash of worlds. So there you go.
And also the surrounding characters I thought were kind of funny too. Pretty funny.
Right, because the two people are so different that everyone around them has a different perspective on why they should or shouldn't be together. And how to keep them apart or get them together or whatever. So it's all about how different those two people are.
So they're very different people. There's no way in hell in real life they would collide in any way, I'm imagining. It's a pretty out there way that it all happens, right? I mean, they do try and make it believable, but,
I disagree. You can meet anybody anywhere.
Yeah. So Seth Rogen, who's not a politician or anything in this movie, just is a writer for a free newspaper. And she is going to be... Well, what is she originally?
Secretary of State.
Yeah, she's the Secretary of State, but she's going to resign from that job to run to become president.
She's only running for president because the jerk president now is not going to run for president again.
Right.
Who happens to be
so
Better Call Saul.
It's set against the backdrop of that. And then Rogen, helps her as a... What do you call that person?
Speechwriter.
What?
Speechwriter.
Yeah. And they do have that. That's a real thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
A person
Those
who's with them all
politicians
the
are
time.
not creative enough to make up their own speeches.
So the person is a creative type who's with them all the time and writes the... Well, we actually... not that this is anything to gauge politics by, but we do watch the TV show Designated Survivor.
Correct.
And there is a guy who writes his speeches for him.
Did you actually honestly not know that's a thing?
I didn't know it was that he's with her all the time, following her around and stuff. I didn't
you
know
have
that.
to be, right? Because
Well, no, not these days. You're on the internet, right?
No, you'd need... This is like you are... It's almost like the politician is your puppet. And if you're not able to completely represent that person, then any cracks, right? They're saying everything you tell them to say. So if they go off on a little jaunt, as we see in this movie, and they say one wrong thing that doesn't match up with one of the speeches that you wrote 5 speeches ago, then they're fucked, right? So you must be babysitting them. And it's not just one, I don't think. I think every bigger politician, headliner, as we would like to call them, would have tons of people around them constantly to watch how they behave, watch how people are dressed around them, how people are behaving around them so they can refer to them or not refer to it. I mean, it's like they're an extension of you. And then they make up a version of you that doesn't exist.
And that's a lot of this movie is based around not like you not being yourself.
Correct.
And Seth Rogen's character has that personality. He loses his job at the beginning because he can't.
He will not compromise. Yes, he's very anti people being controlled,
right,
or lied to, and he doesn't like politics or anything. So interesting where he ends up.
And the other thing there is Charlize Theron, who is like being somebody she's not all the time because of her job, sees him, and she knew him from back in the day, and he has not changed, has he? He's just himself. Like that's the thing that attracts her to him immediately. Like it's just like looking at that kid again, who I was stood in the kitchen with, and he's got the same personality. He's not trying to be something, which all the way through the movie, she's trying to be something. Until what? Is she enlightened? Or is she not? Find out by watching the movie. But let's just say, well, you know how movies go.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do.
Yeah. And this movie...
I know particularly how this movie went.
Yeah, this movie's fairly predictable, to be honest. You can see what's going to happen, can't you? Like, it's no surprise. No surprises. The love story wasn't... I mean, did you expect the love story? Did you expect that to happen?
Yes.
Yeah, so did I. It's just the way it's laid out, isn't it? You just can feel everything coming.
You can. I mean, they can throw a twist in there one way or the other. Do they or don't they end up doing their thing? How, that. But it's not... You only have one of two options. Either they end up together or they don't.
Yeah. And does she win the presidential race?
I think that's irrelevant, but it's an interesting little thing to tie on the end.
Yeah. So I liked the comedy. It never... You know what I actually did like? I really like the comedy. There's some really raunchy comedy in here. There's a scene that involves a dollop of sperm. That's, pretty graphic.
Masturbation.
Yeah. There's they go out and take some mollies and, they act crazy.
Listen to you. You're all cool with the kids.
Yeah. And what else do they do? It's got some crazy stuff in it. But it's also what I found... Because I was expecting the crazy stuff because I saw Seth Rogen on the box. But the actual tender parts of it, which I will call tender parts, as though it's a piece of meat, is...
Traitor.
The love parts were actually pretty convincing, I thought.
Yeah.
There's a sex scene, which is them, like, they look at each other, she's like, come with me now, and they have sex. So that actually felt legitimate to me. And then there's the other romantic one where they're playing the famous song. Which song?
It must have been love.
Yeah, that one.
It's over now.
From Pretty Woman.
I don't know the words. I've only listened to it for 35 years now.
But when they're playing that, they commit to that. They commit to, this is a romantic moment. It's not funny. Like, they don't go for the funny laugh or anything. And they're dancing. And then they...
It's sweet.
It's sweet, yeah, and I actually appreciated that because it was not always going for the sex joke or there was actually a
good balance.
Real, like romantic comedy right in the middle of it. And I said to you the other day, another romantic comedy we saw this year was Crazy Rich Asians, and I remember saying on this podcast, when it came to the wedding scene and she was walking down the aisle and the music was playing and everything, I said to you, I can identify, because I've watched enough movies, that is supposed to be a moment where you feel something, but I felt nothing because I didn't care.
Yeah.
In this movie, when that song played, and they were actually finally getting together, I was like, there was something about it. I felt something. So, this operated, I don't know, as a romantic comedy, this worked for me, whereas that Crazy Rich Asians didn't, and I don't know why that didn't. Do you know why that didn't? Is it just the way
that
it was?
one felt a lot more forced in just the one direction. Like you knew what was going to go down. And this, I'm like, I don't know.
I think maybe that was too romantic and cheesy.
And it also didn't mix a lot of romance. It was more about, the clash of their worlds, their crazy friends on either side, the crazy conflict between his mother, and then, all that kind of stuff kind of overtook you caring about them as a couple. Like, you didn't get invested in them as much as you did about, like, beating the odds for them, but not really them as two people.
So you could say this...
Much more in love with the hooker and the billionaire from Pretty Woman, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you could say this movie works...
So much more romantic, the hooker and the billionaire.
Like, this movie works on a Seth Rogen type joke level, because there's all those crude jokes in there that you will, and love if you like him. And then there's also the romantic, rom-com thing in there too.
Or romantic comedy, as grown-ups like to say.
So it works in both spheres, which is difficult to do, I think.
Yeah, it's a good balance.
To balance it on, because you're treading a fine line when you're doing like a joke with sperm and you're doing like a actual romantic thing also.
Like I said, Something About Mary did it a long time ago and everybody loved it. If you remember correctly.
But I think, when the line is in the middle of Something About Mary is like over the line of like crudeness. Like there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
There's the balls in the zip, which still gets me. I actually cross my legs together every time I think about it.
So do I, and I don't have balls.
If you've not seen Something About Mary, I don't know whether you should see it. I don't know if I should recommend it or not. I don't know. I don't know
what the quality of it actually is, but at the time it was unlike anything you've seen before.
It was kind of cool in the day, but did it age well? I don't know. I'd have to see it again. Anyway, let's. So Long Shot, it actually worked for me. I liked it in both ways. I think it was touching. I think it was an interesting story. I liked the scenario of the politics thing. I thought that was interesting instead of just, oh, this girl runs a coffee shop, this guy is a loser kind of thing. What you usually see. This was more. I know it's a bit crazy, like they're in the public eye and all that, but I liked the idea of. Well, like, the person who's running a campaign are like, well, he's kind of a loser, and you can't be with him because then you won't get up on the scale in the votes and all that. I liked all that. Whereas he's like, well... And she gives him an ultimatum, doesn't she, at one point? Like, what we'll do is this.
Not from her, though. She doesn't mean it.
No, but that when he realizes... She's kind of like, what we're going to do now for a few months is... you'll be somebody, you'll be more...
We're going to lie to everybody, basically.
You'll be more palatable to people.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, even in that situation, he's going to lose her. He's like, no, I don't think I can do that. But he does go back on it, doesn't he, on the phone.
More power to him. Fuck everybody if they don't like who you are.
Yeah, so that's what the movie is. And I found it very funny. I laughed quite a few times, too. I think when...
I laughed a lot. And I mean... a lot. I was like, I just really enjoyed it. Had a good time.
The speech she gives at the end is hilarious. I won't spoil it, but she gives a speech at the end. I thought that was awesome, the speech. And when she is absolutely stoned out of her head and she goes on live TV to give another speech, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
too.
really?
Both of those things. And also Seth Rogen, there's tons of funny stuff from him.
Yes.
And funny stuff from some, we'll go into the
like
cast.
He's toning down the goof factor.
Yeah.
And sort of, making it fits better.
Yeah,
with
even though there are...
grown-up character, not like a 20-something or immature 30-something, but more like, okay, I can buy this character.
But if you like goofy Seth Rogen moments, there are those too. There's a moment where he turns up in this weird costume. It's just goofy and silly, but, it kind of fits in the story, and it's odd. There's some odd stuff like that. But I guess they dial back on it a bit. It's not like a knob joke every 2 minutes, and it's not like stoner jokes either all the time. So,
but it acknowledges that grown-ups do make crass jokes. Grown-ups do masturbate. Grown-ups do have a sense of humor, even political people. Everybody tries to pretend that we don't talk about sex or joke about stuff or get drunk or get wasted. But I won't say everybody. A lot of people do.
Yeah. So, you know.
It's sort of like telling everybody, lighten up.
It absolutely is that. And also, it makes fun. It lightly makes fun of today's politics. But in a fun... I thought it was really funny where it kept showing you, like, there was a certain news channel in this called Wembley News.
Yeah.
And it's really far-fetched and silly, but when you actually really look at it, it's just like a real news channel.
Several of them.
It's slightly exaggerated, but you're like, no, I recognize that.
That's the
kind of
scary
person.
thing. It's not that exaggerated.
Yeah, but there's a lot of that. So,
Yeah.
But it's not like super like this is Donald Trump and this is that. It's more subtle about it, I guess.
Well,
But
it's not even about like the politic, like a party, or I don't think it's even directed at the idea or, you know, like a knock toward a current president, but the idea that the presidency is now packaged as like a dog and pony show, like because in this movie the president is a guy who was played the president on a TV show for many years, and now he wants to stop being president so he can go into movies, because that's, to him,
It's a step
that's
up.
more, it's a step up
Yeah.
from the presidency, and that in his mind and probably in the world around him, that makes sense. Almost like idiocracy level of like, well, duh, the presidency's not that big a deal. And as you go through it, you aren't told straight up, but obviously he's made big business deals with all these people. Like, he doesn't care about the presidency. He only cares that this is like, can go in his portfolio of jobs he's had, and that how he can make money off of it and all these other, like, it's no big deal, really. Who cares about the environment when you can, like, make $1 billion off of the lumber industry, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I think that's more of an idea, like a generic view of politics. Then I didn't feel like it was pointed at anything. I'm not a Donald Trump fan, and I still didn't feel like it was, like, pointed at him or anyone or anything in particular.
There's one scene in particular that I really liked, and it was just a dialogue thing, and it was Seth talking to his old college roommate, and they're just having a discussion together, and it's the discussion of like how friends don't really like divulge certain things to each other, because he's like,
Yeah, because
his friends,
Seth's
like,
character's like super
open
anti
as well.
big companies, anti big government, government kind of like stealing everyone's freedom, and he's sort of like fuck the man kind of guy, you know what I mean? Like rooting for the little guy all the time. And so his friend, who's been a Republican all these years, has never told him that, because he's afraid that his friend, who in reality probably thinks of himself as open-minded, is very narrow-minded, and that he wouldn't even accept that this guy is like a church-going Republican dude. And I found that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, and it came. That scene in particular come really near the end of the movie. I was like, wow, this is quite different to what we've been discussing, but it's still funny. Mm-hmm. Like, there's still a funny edge to it. So
It's funny and uncomfortable because you're like, oh,
yeah,
do I do that now? You wouldn't doubt who I am. So that's a good thing with my friends. People who know me know me. I am not a closed book. But I identify, and we were just talking about it, like, I don't believe in any gods of any kind. You and I are vegetarian. These are pretty, I mean, it's just, that's our life. That's how we do our life. But that offends people so
really
badly that I know, and I'm happy to get in any debate or any conversation, not
that
to
people
sway
are
to-
offended by what somebody else eats is bizarre to me. Because I'm not offended by the people eating a steak. I'm not offended at all. You can eat what you want. You eat it.
Yeah, I mean, I get comments all the time.
Yeah.
We're not vegan. We're
find
not
it weird.
animal rights activists. We just stopped eating meat 10 years ago for health reasons for me, and then you jumped on board, and now would you say we suffer?
No.
And I am still way overweight. It's not like I'm wasting away or anything. I'm totally healthy.
I just find it weird.
But people will say, when you say like, oh, you know, they'll say, oh, get the burger, get the whatever. And I don't even say anything. I just go ahead and order like French fries and a salad. Oh, why don't you get a burger? Well, I don't eat meat. Oh, I guess you don't want me to eat meat either. I'm like, I couldn't give a shit. You could cut somebody's leg off right now and eat it right in front of me. I don't care.
There's also a weird phenomenon where people try and make fun of you,
Oh yeah.
like, and go, like,
Constantly.
they'll say something like, you'll say, "Oh, I'm a vegetarian." They'll go, "Haha, well, I'm eating 12 steaks tomorrow." Like,
So-
like,
Great.
you go, okay,
Congratulations.
yeah, but you can 100% tell that they're trying to make you mad.
Yeah, and
about-
that's a good example of how sometimes, if in your life you've made choices, like in this situation with these two friends, I know if I bring it up first, the simple thing of not eating meat. If I just say, if I go to a restaurant and I'm the first person to go, oh, I don't eat meat, so I don't want anyone else to order meat or some bullshit like that. That's not how I do it. Like, it's not how I do it at all. But if it comes up, it's a touchy subject. And, I can see how this friend didn't want to be forthcoming with Seth Rogen's character just because he overreacted, of course. But I thought that was really good and really real.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
So let's move on to the cast. Charlize Theron plays Charlotte Field.
Are you saying her name correctly?
Theron.
I mean, you've heard her on Howard.
Theron.
And she's
No,
said
she
it.
has. I think she is Theron. Anyway, Charlize Theron. I can't think of how many ways you could say it.
No, she said it on Howard correctly. You told me once.
I think she said Theron.
right.
Is what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm a big fan of hers. My favorite thing, I will tell you in my recommendations this week. Recently I rewatched Prometheus. It was on TV.
Right.
And she was really good in it. Do you remember?
No.
Oh, she is very good. You know what, as well? I think Prometheus is better than I gave it credit
I'd
for.
watch it again for sure because I didn't quite remember and grasp how it all kind of came together.
It's actually, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. But that other Alien film that came after it, no. I like Prometheus better. Anyway, I'm a big fan. I really like it. Atomic Blonde, also excellent.
Yep, I like Atomic Blonde a lot.
Also, that movie that we were just discussing after the show, the one that Sean Penn directed.
Last Face.
Yeah, that was interesting performance from her. I really like her. And I've never seen her do comedy, I don't think, at all. I don't even know if she's done any. But I think she was really great in this. I'd like to see her in more varied things. It's really interesting to see.
Her thing, though, is she dabbles in the comedy part, but really she's playing the straight one. You got the straight one and the funny one. She's that. She's like the stern, professional. But because we're cracking her personality just a little bit, that's where her comedy's coming from instead of her being the funny one.
I found it really funny when Seth Rogen was dressed in a weird outfit and she's like, "What are you fucking wearing?"
Yeah, she liked to. And then when they're watching that movie and she totally reacted in a way that's like you're not expecting her to react because she's all put together and professional and elegant. And
Yeah, I really liked
I
it.
liked her character a lot.
And Seth Rogen, we've discussed him a lot so far. I've always been a fan of his since Knocked Up. I really like Knocked Up. I think it's really sweet. Another movie that's sweet, actually, has a real heart to it. Don't you think?
Knocked Up?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really goofy and weird and often gross and crude, but there's a real heart at the end of it when you get to it. You know?
Yeah.
So, no, I've always been a fan. You haven't, and you're slowly becoming one.
Well, no, I'm ready now for us to start again. So if he wants to make a bunch of new movies to keep me on board, that'll be great.
Bob Odenkirk, who I think we're both fans of in the show
Yeah.
Better Call Saul, which is a fantastic TV show. It's actually the prequel to Breaking Bad, but really I don't see it that way. I see it
It's
as
just about him, though.
It's his own show, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's so good in it. Him and Ray Seahorn.
Yes.
Plays his
She's
girl.
my favorite part of it.
The show is just fucking exceptionally good. But
He
what do you
plays
think
the
of-
president.
Yeah, he plays the president. Here.
I mean, he was over the top and kind of like cringy, but that's exactly how he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So he did
and he's
it
not
right.
in it particularly a lot. He's just in a few scenes. Now, Charlize is what is she? She's the handler or whatever, isn't she? June Diane Raphael plays Maggie. And I really loved her. I thought she was hilarious.
I mean,
because
she's horrible bitchy. She
She's
really
the-
is bitchy.
she rolls her eyes all the time at
Yeah.
Seth Rogen. She's like,
And it's a fine line to play a character who you know needs to be a strong character without everybody thinking you're a bitch just because you're a woman.
Right.
But she is actually bitchy. Like,
Yeah.
she does all the things that all of us women identify as, like, the bitchy move.
But-
The eye rolling, the sighing, the, like, complete dismissive twitch of her hand when he's around, like, ugh. And she's just being snotty. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But she does it really well.
Yeah, it's
but
very
she
funny.
genuinely... In the other scenes, when she's talking to Charlize Theron's character, she genuinely loves her and wants her to do well. So I thought she balanced that out really well.
And then Ravi Patel plays Tom, and he is the what's his title? What?
He's the same. He's the other handler person.
Press
They're-
secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very funny too, and there's a relationship in there with them two as well,
Yeah.
which is funny. Yeah. O'Shea Jackson Jr. plays Lance, who's his friend. You know what? I thought he was excellent in
Yeah,
this.
he's really good.
He's Ice Cube's son.
I could tell.
Yeah, and you know, I felt that relationship between them was really good.
Yep.
Like, it was written well from the beginning. And his friend's like inspiring, and like he's like, no, you should do this. You know, he's always inspiring him. But then at the end, when we get that conversation that I just talked about, where he doesn't really know about his friend properly, but that should not affect anything, right? He's your friend. He makes
Yeah.
you feel good. Him being a Republican and a Christian should not affect anything.
I have
It's
many
like, you know,
Republican Christian friends. They
when
don't
he
bother
says,
me
like-
at all.
he says, I love you, man, but you're really fucking judgmental.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really liked that relationship between them. I thought he was excellent, O'Shea Jackson Jr. Andy Serkis is in here.
What I loved about him is he seemed like a really good boss at his company that he clearly owned because
Yeah, he
he
did.
gives everybody the day off. He's like,
yeah.
I'm going to take my best friend off and get him totally fucked up because he just quit his job. Everybody gets the day off, you know, and it's like this big fancy office. And I was like, I like that guy.
Yeah, good. Andy Serkis plays Parker Wembley, and he's like the head of like the shitty news company.
He's like the billionaire who buys up all the media to control it. He's the guy who hates gay people and who is now wanting to ravage Alaskan forests to build like data centers.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who the president is basically his puppet. And Seth Rogen is like, fuck that guy. He just bought the newspaper that I just quit from because of that guy, you know, so it's like a loop.
And Andy Serkis has got some crazy prosthetic.
But I immediately was like, that's Andy Serkis.
Yeah, he's prosthetic makeup to make him look like this old guy. But you can see Andy Serkis underneath it all. And, you know, he's just he's sleazy and horrible, right? I mean, but he plays it all right. And then finally, Alexander Skarsgård plays James Stewart, who is the president, or the prime minister, let me say, of Canada.
I thought he was really crappy.
Um,
Like super crappy.
but there was one scene that was extremely funny where he's talking about his laugh.
That they've told him to change his laugh.
His laugh is like a bit of an awkward laugh.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so he does his normal laugh, and he's like, it's more teeth and less noise.
Yeah, but he's not good.
No,
He's good in some things. Like he was good in that one with the girl where he's the boyfriend, but then he ends up having a thing with the teenage girl.
Yes, he was very
What
good
was
in
that called?
Yes.
Diary of something. He
Yes.
was good in that because he was like a brooding, you know, dude. But
Diary
he did
of
a
a
good
Teenage
job.
Girl.
And he was fine as the vampire on True Blood because he's quite theatrical. And it was fine. It's kind of like a Neo situation for me because I don't think that what's his face? Keanu Reeves is that great in anything else that he's ever done. I like John Wick very much, but it's not like it's a stretch.
John Wick's a one-dimensional character.
Yeah. But I feel like Alex needs to... Isn't his brother the it guy?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Alex
his dad
needs to branch out.
There's a bunch of Skarsgårds.
I mean, he holds himself fine. It's just that I don't know.
Did he have a wig on?
I think so. And he was trying too hard to be the political guy who only cared about his image. He just needed to, like, loosen up a little bit.
He's never been loose, though, has he? He's always looks like he's got a stick up his
Except
back.
in that movie. Diary of a whatever it was.
Teenage girl, I believe.
Is that it?
Yeah. Diary of a Teenage...
In that, it was like he was that guy, and I was more
Yeah.
convinced. But yeah, I would like to have seen him be less of a cartoon character. That's how I felt like it was.
So this is directed by Jonathan Levine. He directed the movie 50-50, which you didn't see, but I saw, right? I saw it on TV or something.
Was I missing anything?
It's a romantic comedy. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
I think the thing was he was dying of cancer and he just had never been successful in dating. And this is a date that goes right. Is that a good synopsis of it? The one with Scarlett.
It's good enough for me. But my standards are very low.
And Jonathan Levine also made a movie called Warm Bodies, which was a romantic comedy involving zombies.
Okay.
Which I did not see. It was like, but again, Jonathan Levine.
I don't particularly like his style.
You don't?
Him. I don't know what it is.
He's pretty young. He's seems.
Yeah.
I don't
feel
know.
like
The film came together well. So
I know everyone says, "Oh, we had great collaboration and whatnot," but I think part of that's because he had Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron, who are producers, directors, famous people, writers. They've been in lots of movies. They're sort of Hollywood elite at this point, and he got a little lost in there, but
because it is, as far as style and the way it is cut and all that, the made, it's pretty standard in that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not got fancy touches to it or a style.
True.
Like it
might have been more about the relationships of him to the people in the parts, and also I do think that two Hollywood bigwig people are going to have a lot more control over, like, just for ego's sake.
Yeah.
About what they say and how they do it and what they look like and all that stuff. And I think he might have succumbed to that a little bit.
But that is just your opinion.
It is not just my opinion, it's a fact.
All right, so
it is what it is.
There's a bunch of special features on the Blu-ray. There's 7 Minutes in Heaven, which is like the making of, basically. There's Seth and Charlize Uncensored, gag reel. Did we mention that Boyz II Men are in this movie?
Boyz II Men. Dun, 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 ba-da. I was not a big fan of Boyz II Men, but when you play their music, it's totally nostalgic. I can't help it. It is what it is.
Boyz II Men are in this movie. They perform 2 songs, actually, while the movie's going on. And they're also in one of the extras. And there's some featurettes as well. It's got a bunch of stuff. The making of was actually pretty in-depth.
Yeah.
I said to you, we've watched like Marvel movies where the making of's like 3 minutes long and it's just people
kissing ass.
Saying, oh, the director was awesome.
How wonderful everybody is.
Tony Stark, he's awesome.
Because they might have to work with him again someday.
Yeah, well, no, this was more like went into everything. It went into costuming, set design, the actual stars of it, the co-stars, the director. I think everything was covered, right, by that.
Seemed like it.
Seemed pretty cool. I mean, we watched the whole thing. It was good. So thank you to Lionsgate for this movie for review. Before I go with the end of the review, I'll tell you what's the IMDb reviews section of this podcast.
IMDb reviews are when you go find the 1-star reviews, which aren't really reviews at all, of people taking the time out of their life to complain about these movies. And it's not very useful, but it's entertaining.
All right, so let's go for...
It does not add value to your movie watching or movie shopping experience.
Yeah, and you might think, while you're listening to this podcast, why are they going to... why is it going to read like a load of bad reviews to us? Because they seem to like it. Well, that's not the point. We just find it funny that people...
And everyone has their point of view.
I mean,
there's a lot of wrong people in the world.
Yeah.
What did we see that on? You're not the only one. What was that on? It was Tony and Chelsea. We watched Tony and Chelsea Northup photographers do their
YouTubers.
YouTube, thing. I'm getting into photography, so we watch a lot of YouTube people, and he said something, she said the opposite, and he said someone else agreed with him, and she said, well, there can't be just one wrong person in the world.
Yeah, it's like...
Meaning that he's still wrong, he's just not alone. I love that.
So yeah, the 10 out of 10 reviews on IMDb are never quite as fun as the 1 out of 10 reviews.
Correct.
So here we go. Here's some 1 out of 10s for you. La Grizzly, who I swear I've read that name before, so maybe he writes all 1 out of 10 reviews. Maybe it's his...
Claim to fame.
He doesn't even watch the movies. He says, This is a new low for Charlize. I thought she had more class than this drivel.
Drivel.
This person says,
That was it?
yeah,
Oh my god.
Unimatrix _0 says,
Okay.
I got the impression this vid was aimed at the cellar dwellers who can't get the girl and need some false hope to encourage them to live on. Seth played Seth, so nothing new there. Charlize, while offering a competent performance, was clearly out of place. The script was disjointed and puerile. There were a couple of clever lines, although we found ourselves groaning much more than laughing. Ultimately, we didn't hate the movie, but it was an endurance, one that we won't revisit.
Okay, I had to look up what puerile means. I've heard it many in my life. Do you know what it means?
It means like, so how to describe it, actually.
No, it's got just a definition.
Yeah, I know it does, but it's not coming to mind.
Childish, silly, and trivial. Well, duh, it's fucking Seth Rogen.
It's a comedy.
What is it that people expect when they go? Now, if you're like me and you love going in blankly, that's cool. And if you don't know who Seth Rogen is and you don't know his comedy, that's cool too. But once you start watching it, you understand where it slots in. And childish, silly, and trivial at times is precisely what they're going for. So you shouldn't be giving it a 1-star review. You should be giving it like a 5-star review because they hit the mark.
Well, 10 actually, because it goes up to 10.
Well, 5 if they don't like it, but it's still doing what it's meant to do. So at least it's average.
All right, so
They don't have to like it.
This one is. What is this one? This one's a good one. Stevens 31827 says, I'm sorry, but if the contemporary state of American filmmaking endorses drugs, smoking, casual sex, and dick jokes, and political position is held in such low regard, then it says a lot about the American cinema scene, filmmaking, and audience intelligence. All of it is scarily bad.
I mean, those things are all in there. It's like...
But he's saying because they're in there, we're all idiots.
But if you don't partake of... I don't do drugs. I've never smoked pot or done any sort of marijuana-related thing. I'm sure I took some fast-acting, like, speed-type pills back in my 20s. I drank a lot. I don't... Just because it's in a movie, I'm not an idiot. So that doesn't tell me, hey, I'm gonna go out and smoke some dope because they do it. Like, who are you to think that a movie, which is fiction, should mold your actual choices in life? If it enlightens you to something or makes you curious about something and then you pursue it in real life, then that's kind of down to the person. But if you look at it, like I can watch somebody grilling a hamburger, that doesn't make me go, oh, I'm going to eat hamburgers again because I have no mind of my own. No, it doesn't work that way. Stop being a dickhead.
Thanks. And finally,
Stop being a dickhead.
this one's real short. Ocean Blue XO says, I wouldn't even watch for free on HBO.
That's it?
Yep.
That's a good one.
So
But here's the thing. Did you watch it?
Yeah, he watched it,
Exactly. Or did you not watch it?
but he wouldn't watch it for free on HBO.
Where did you? Okay. What was the circumstance under which you did watch it?
Well, I would watch it for free on HBO, no
I
problem.
would do. I'd watch almost any movie for free on HBO.
Yeah, and-
If you can give me HBO for free, I'm going to watch some shit.
I watch all the movies on.
I've watched many bad movies over my lifetime on HBO
Also-
just because it's free.
Also, just let me break down his comment. I wouldn't watch it for free on HBO, he says. Don't you have to pay for HBO?
Yeah.
Nothing's free on
So
HBO.
where? Okay, you criminal.
He must be the one hacking somebody's satellite dish. Or something.
Damn, see?
You just give yourself away, chum.
Chum.
I'm going to phone the feds. All right, so, yes. That is the 1-star reviews from IMDb.
Dun dun dun. That sound effect is what you need from like
Dun,
Price is
dun.
Right. Price is Right, or any game show has that wah wah wah. You know when somebody loses.
So thanks to Lionsgate for letting us review this. And next week we're going to look at the movie Hellboy. It's a boy. He's from hell.
I'm going to go on record as saying I'm perfectly happy with the original Hellboy, and I don't know what's wrong with you people that you couldn't have just gone on with my Beauty and the Beast guy, moved along with him, and not just start over. Because I love the original Hellboy movies.
Well, Mr. Del Toro was done with it.
I don't care. You could still go on from where it started. I like that guy. I like Beauty and the Beast guy.
Yes,
Ron Perlman.
Yes, you do.
I do.
But now you're going to get...
I mean, he wasn't great in Alien 4, but never mind.
Now you're going to get Hopper from Stranger Things as Hellboy.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that. And also, I don't think it's necessary. But hey.
Well, next week you can listen to Sid Talk say how much he dislikes or likes Hellboy.
I'll go, well, it wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah. So, movie recommendations. I am going on the theme of this movie and the 2 stars. So I'm going for my favourite 2 movies by these 2 stars. So Seth Rogen would be Knocked Up. I mentioned it earlier. I think it's a really fun movie and it has a lot of heart. And my Charlize Theron choice would be Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Mad Max.
Which is a fantastic movie that everybody should see.
It's not a fantastic movie, but it's fun and she has a good character.
Great movie.
It isn't.
Yes.
Stop lying to everyone.
I love it.
It
won many Oscars.
Here's Mad Max. He just mumbles and shit. You can't understand him. He's not a great Mad Max. Again, I'm not a Mel Gibson fan,
but
the original is what it is.
The movie, though, is such a...
It's fun,
awesome,
it's big, it's a spectacle.
Movie.
It doesn't make it good. Stop lying to people.
It does to me. I actually prefer it to the older Mad Max movies. And I do like those also. But now there's a racist or a weirdo in them. So I can't take that back. I'd rather have Tom Hardy than that guy.
Yeah, but Tom Hardy needs to... I can't even do it now. Articulate. Enunciate. Whatever it is. When you're speaking. Every word needs to be separate. I can hear what you're saying. I
think they are thinking still of making the Furiosa movie, which would be not Mad Max, but her. So let's hope, because I really loved it. So they're my recommendations. Knocked Up and Fury Road. Yours are?
Mine are. Is that what you're asking me? Mine are, because it's another comedy with politics. Our brand is Crisis. Because I also was not too sure about that one, but then it won me over.
Sandra Bullock
and your guy.
Billy Bob.
Yeah, and it is about politics and about twisting and spinning and contorting and manipulating things. And when you think about it, it's really good. It's a good story.
Yeah, and it is a comedy, kind of, in parts, isn't it?
It's comedy as in it is, like, ridiculous how these people behave.
Yeah.
And so you are, like, sort of, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it, even though I didn't think it would. And then, of course, just want to throw another comedy out there that's got the uncomfortable stuff, but it really made me laugh, was Bridesmaids. It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig.
Shitting in a wedding dress.
I always like the Kristen Wiig. Anything Kristen Wiig says in that, when she's in the plane. It's just really funny. Yeah, why don't we see Kristen Wiig very often anymore?
Because she's rich.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to do anything.
She just ran off with all the Hollywood money.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in that new Ghostbusters, but we didn't see it.
We did not.
I don't know.
Not interested.
I don't think I am either. Anyway.
And not because of what anyone says. It's just that, again, like Hellboy, I'm not interested in redoing a thing that was fine. The original Ghostbusters was fine for what it was. If you want to now, I guess they couldn't get everyone on board, but they're going to now, apparently, right? To do another one, but with the original people.
Yeah, that's happening now with Bill Murray and everybody.
Is that because they were like,
I think so.
You didn't do it right.
It's like you ruined Ghostbusters.
I mean, you can't ruin it because it's going to always exist for what it is.
Yeah.
But, like, everybody needs to, first of all, if you're a creative person, right, and you want to make a movie, make your own fucking movie. Make up a story that doesn't exist. You will find the core of all the stories that we watch over and over. You're not going to come up with a new genre or whatever, or a new tale of humanity. But like Harry Potter didn't exist before it existed. Star Wars didn't exist before it existed. Hellboy didn't exist before it existed, and then they become a thing, and then guess what? Someone writes another thing, and someone invents another idea, invents another planet to go to, invents another time in the future of humanity and what that could look like. And so, we don't need to redo everything. Just make a new thing.
Or invents this scenario in this movie we watched today, Long Shot.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't inventing anything, but it's also not remaking Pretty Woman. You know what I mean? It's not like we're literally saying that movie exists and I'm going to redo it. I'm not opposed to remaking movies. Don't get me wrong. There have been a few. Which one did we watch that I liked? I liked Evil Dead.
Yes.
The remake. But it also wasn't like wiping clean the slate. Because of the world it comes from, you can feel the cheek. You can feel that it's all one big thing anyway. It's not like trying to get rid of the past. Whereas Hellboy, because it hasn't been that long, or even remaking Spider-Man when they did, starting with a new Spider-Man, it's like, oh, no, just forget that other one ever existed. No, just make up a new superhero. It can't be that hard, she says, without making any effort to do it herself.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on, A Scully stuff. I've just been playing Anthem this week a lot. Anthem. It's it's like Destiny. It's by EA. It's really good. I really like it. I told you I picked it up cheap. I could have played it when it was expensive back in the day, but I didn't. Only thing I'm finding wrong is because I waited so long to play it. This is the bad side of waiting. There's not many people playing it. So when I need a team to go and do a mission,
right,
it takes a long time to find 4 people and put them together. So sometimes I'm sat there for like 2 or 3 minutes. I reckon if I'd have played it on day one, that would have not happened, and you would have immediately gone into a game. But that doesn't seem to be happening because people, they move on, don't they, to other new games and
fickle gamers.
Even though this game is cheap at the moment, and it probably does have more players than it has had for a while, it is a thing where you're sat in a waiting room just waiting because you can't do the missions on your own. Some of them you have to have a team of 4, and actually getting together 4 people who are at your level as well, it seems to take a while. So that's the only downside. I really enjoy the game. It's fun, bit repetitive you could say, because a lot of the missions involve the same thing. You just go out there into the wilderness, there's some voice acting, you find a place, the
Isn't
story.
that what all games are kind of repetitive?
Not always. Not always. Oh, I have been playing something else this week. Tetris Effect came out on PC. I already own it on the PlayStation, and I got the PC version. It's the same game, exactly the same. But if that is not the best Tetris game ever made,
it's good.
It really is. I mean, I don't get bored of playing Tetris, and the music in that game and the visuals, even though you don't pay attention to them 99% of the time because you're looking at the Tetris board, the frills around it make it better. It's hard to explain why it's better.
It's a good game.
Yeah, so I have been playing some Tetris.
You got to get in the flow. In fact, I might want to play after this because you get kind of like, like I said, I don't do drugs. I'm not supposed to drink at the moment because of liver, everybody has a great liver, but me. No, that's not true. My liver has lived. We'll put it that way. So maybe Tetris will be my glass of wine.
So it's good. It's a good one. Oh, also, you can play this PC version in virtual reality. So I'm going to have to hook up my VR goggles and try it that way.
Oh, yeah. You got to definitely try that.
That'd be crazy, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it'd be crazy. So, that's Tetris Effect. So, Sidto, what's for dinner?
Tonight we're having lots of whole grains lately. I don't know if you've noticed. Barley,
yes,
quinoa. What else have I made? Brown rice, one of your faves. Again, to help cleanse the liver or whatever they want me to do. So having that mixed with vegetables and then some not chicken salad sandwich.
Anything that's brown, I've found, I favor. And you not like that,
I never did.
No, because I always like, oh no, I prefer it. You be like, do you want white bread or brown bread? I'd be like, well, I like brown bread tastes better. And then rice, I was like, no, I prefer brown rice. And you were like, no, I prefer white rice. Yeah.
I like the white rice. But I'm learning. And also I have this weird thing where I can't really taste anything at the moment. So I think that has a lot to do with it being more palatable to me for some reason.
Right.
So that's what's for supper.
What is your advice to everybody today?
My advice is to always remember that everyone has a beginning. Don't know if you know what I mean, but like kind of from this friend, the guy is Seth Rogen's character being so negative about people and sort of down on Republicans. And of course, if you're a Republican, you're a dickhead kind of thing. Well, you know, every person has a beginning. Everybody was born. Then they learned how to be potty trained and had to eat with the utensil or eat at the table of wherever culture they're in, learn how to walk, learn how to sit up, learn how to read, whatever their language is. Everyone started somewhere. And then a combination of their personality traits mixed with their environment and then other information that's fed into them and then information they seek as they get older makes the combination of who they are. But they all started somewhere. They weren't born the person that you now decide to hate. They weren't born with the intention or the plan to do harm or do damage or be a jerk or be lazy or be the person that you look down upon or be less than what you think they should be or be an elitist asshole if you think that's what people are. Nobody starts that way. You know, everybody starts and then you're like is it a repository or you're like a big vase that or bucket or whatever. You're like, you just get filled up with all the stuff in life.
A big vase.
A big vase. And then, you know, if you judge somebody based purely on the slice of what you see right this minute, you're completely discounting the whole of their life. And you are also giving them permission to do the same with you. And you know that's not how it is. You know that your life is a combination. Like I've been raised with 3 siblings, same parents, same area, basically, same ideas, same everything. You know, nothing changed from the time my siblings were kids to the time I was kids. Not really, not the big stuff, you know. And yet we're very different. So I know that even being raised in a similar situation, I am who I am because of me gathering different information, perceiving it differently, choosing different things in my life, seeking different things in my life. Therefore, we're not the same person. We're not clones of one another. And so someone that you judge purely on this one thing they say or one thing they do and decide that's the whole of who they are, that's a problem, isn't it? In society. And like today, that's the big problem is I've decided who you are based on a meme that you posted on Facebook. Period.
Yes.
And that's it. Instead of thinking about the whole person. And if you don't want to take the time and you don't want to make the effort and it's not, you know, I discussed this with a friend and her thing was, well, I don't want to give anybody an excuse for their bad behavior. Like by saying, well, they were a baby once. And I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. But you can understand a person better if you get a full picture of who they are. You don't have to accept their behavior or their choices, the damage that they do, none of that. You don't have to accept it at all. Still punish people for being destructive, horrible people, whatever level they are. But you will understand it better. And maybe the next person that you come across who might be headed that direction, you can maybe figure some things out. Who knows? You know, you can't save the world, but at least it's something. Don't just look at people as like a cardboard cutout. Because, I mean, you're going to be wrong 100% of the time. And I like to be right a lot more than that.
Yeah, no shit.
What is that supposed to mean? So that's it. That's not advice.
All right.
It's just me telling you something.
If you listen to the beginning of this podcast, you will understand that you can get this podcast literally anywhere in the world.
Yeah, because they already are listening to it. This is the wrong audience to be promoting this idea to.
You can catch us everywhere, including YouTube and all the other places like iTunes and Google Play and all those things. You can catch us catch Sid Talk on Instagram. You can catch.
Yeah, I've been posting more on there. You're going to get a lot of garden pictures. So if you like pictures of tomatoes, go for it.
Email any feedback you've got to ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. She does not want your shit.
You can email me.
And I want to say stay classy. Mr. Seth Rogen and Miss Charlize Theron, both classy in this movie.
And I'm going to say, think for yourselves, because if you don't do it, someone's doing it for you.